Hi, I'm Terrence Ward, and I'm here today with Lisa Stewart, the High Priestess of the Church of the Eternal Circle, in their outdoor ritual space. We're here to talk about the flooding issues that have been experienced by this church and what people can do to help with those problems. Lisa, could you tell me a little bit about how long the church has performed rituals in this space and how many people maybe you get?
Sure. We bought the building in 1997, and our first ritual here in this space was for Samhain, which is in October, Halloween of 1997. At that time, around 20 years ago, we really didn't have too much trouble with flooding, but it seems that over time, more and more of the paved area has been sending a deluge of water down into our sacred space. Our congregation, when we can be outside, is about 40 people. And for a small place in New Paltz, that's probably pretty good. But if we're flooded and we can't be outside, we do have a very limited number of folks that we can fit into our indoor space. So being outside for the summer is really pretty crucial for us.
I understand. So you think that the flooding you're experiencing comes from pavement in other areas?
Yeah, we're pretty sure actually. We've done some research, and we have a little plaza just ahead of us that's completely paved.
Mm-hmm.
And in the 70s, New Paltz got the first fast food place. They got a Jack in the Box, and they wanted to pave over 90% of their property. So they had to go through zoning board of approval, and in order to be able to do all that paving, they had to build some underground cisterns. But it's pretty apparent that those cisterns now, 40 some years later, are breached. So all of the water comes off of the convenient parking lot down into the next door neighbor, goes into those breached cisterns, and kind of bubbles up like interesting springs across our parking lot, and ends up right down here making kind of a lake.
Right. How deep does it get?
A little over halfway up the second concrete block, so that's about 18 inches, I would say.
Kind of tough to hold any kind of religious service there.
Not unless you had a kayak or two.
Well, what do you and Anton, your high priest, believe that can be done to solve this flooding problem?
Well, luckily, Anton's a pretty handy guy. He's a former royal engineer. So he spoke about doing something called a French drain system. And it would really be great in a number of ways. First of all, it would alleviate the flooding problem, but we would put in our own catchments so that we could use that water to water our garden. We grow a lot of vegetables here, even though we have a small place, that we use for our Mabon feast in the fall. So we grow potatoes and carrots and different things like that. And instead of using water that we have to purchase from the town, we could actually use the rainwater that we catch that no longer floods the circle.
Closing the loop, as it were.
Yeah.
Excellent. And what do you think the cost is going to be of this kind of a project?
Well, my experience with any sort of building or contracting thing is that it usually either takes 3 times as long or costs twice as much as the original figure.
Right.
And we have had some people approach us from the village who said they would try and help us out, but we really don't know exactly what the figure would be. We're thinking that our church would have to put in between $4,000 and $5,000.
And that's something you just don't have in the bank like some larger churches.
Right. I mean, we do hold circle every week, and there are people who would give something every week, but we're really not in it for the money. We're in it to provide a spiritual place for people to feel safe to worship. So many people who come just can't put much in that basket. $1 a week, so if you figured $50 times 20 people that can come all winter, that's not a lot of money when you also have other upkeep and you have to buy cakes and ale and candles and all the things that would go along with providing things for a ceremony.
Understood. Well, if that makes sense to you, viewers at home, I hope you'll consider making a donation to this campaign so the good people of this church can have a water-free ritual space.